I want to talk about the problem with college. And I think that there is something that is really, really important that we fail to do unless you are taking some very advanced courses. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Maslach. I'm an associate professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people that help me out that I want to pay the favor forward to help you out as much as I possibly can. So what is this problem with college? It is that we teach a very deterministic way of the world. So what does that mean? That means we teach the way of the world in the sense that this is actually what the world is. And this is problematic because it does not teach you that us ourselves are learning new things all the time. There's not really facts in this world as one might sort of think about, but an evolving set of propositions and ideas that we are constantly being exposed to and thinking of. Now, it's really hard to come up with something that sort of comes up that tells a single coherent story of how something actually works. And when we get that single coherent story of how things actually work, then we like to teach about those particular things because that's an easy way, or it describes the world. Oh my gosh, it describes the world. I'm drinking a coffee and it went down the wrong way. See, look at that. Look at that. My kids got me this a little while ago. Dad is the captain of the crew. I love that. Father's Day present. So the important thing to remember is that the world is constantly changing and we have a real tough time of trying to figure that out. So all of the facts and stuff that you learn about comes from research, and this research is far from perfect. It's really, really messy to get at some of these things. We try and we do the best that we possibly can, but the world is constantly evolving. And I wish we would do a better job of teaching you and teaching everybody else that the world is probabilistic, that things are constantly changing. We don't really have a good sense of what these things are because the world is very noisy. And that's really what it means for a probabilistic world, that we just don't really have a good sense of how things actually work. We have a decent sense of what is going on, but there's always things that are going on. Now, on the flip side, a lot of people in current culture are using this to sort of dissuade you, to show that there's no facts and everything is kind of amorphous and we don't know which way is which and who to trust and all those kind of things. And we need to remember that there's a grain of truth to some of those things. But often they're used in a way to sort of persuade you to do things that are against your own interest. So I would encourage you to sort of think about what are the interests of the people that are providing and grabbing this knowledge and sort of thinking about this knowledge. For the most part, scientists and researchers and professors, they try to do what is best for everybody else. Doesn't necessarily mean that's always going to be the case, but for the most part, they sort of look at that. We don't say an oath. We don't do anything like that. An oath is not really all that meaningful anyways. But, we are very good intentioned to think about what is really going on in this world and try to discover some new interesting insight. So we are trying to provide valid and reliable knowledge. If we don't, the only thing that we have is some very strong social norms that if we don't provide valid and reliable knowledge, people will discount us. Other professors, other researchers will completely discount us, and many of us will actually lose our jobs if we actually do that. And we can't be employed because of the information that we're providing. So I would encourage you to think about not only of a probabilistic world, but then also use your common sense where you're thinking about, okay, given that the world is messy, we don't understand the world that well, given that it's messy, who is trying to use that against me and to persuade me to do things that are against my own interests? So I just want you to think about this in terms of what it means in this world, and that there is not quite such things as facts as we sort of think about them, but there's really good evidence often that it is solid evidence that we think that those things actually exist. Gravity is not quite a fact. I mean, it seems silly to say that, right? It's not quite a fact. We don't absolutely know whether this exists completely, but we have a really strong belief that this actually exists, that there's something that's going on there. Now, I want you to sort of take this as sort of thinking about the world critically, is that the world is constantly changing and it's a real messy process out there. I want you to use that, but then as well think about how can people, other people around us, use this against us to advance their political interests and all sorts of other things that they're trying to do to sell us products and do all those kind of things. I know you're smart enough to know what is really going on, and don't get persuaded in such a way that you are going against your own interest. We're not as scary as what people sort of make us out to be. Professors and researchers and scientists, we're not scary. We're trying to figure out what is going on, and we're doing our best that we can. We acknowledge that the world is incredibly messy, and we do, to the best of our ability, we come up with something that is kind of interesting and insightful and provides valid, reliable knowledge. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.